Generic greetings and welcome back once again to Prison Architect. Today's beverage is a nice, relaxing, calming cup of chamomile tea, the perfect combination and pairing for the Extreme Testing Initiative. This is the part of the series where we put the prison through its paces by inducing certain events and behaviours that may or may not occur naturally throughout the prison's life cycle, things like instant fight, instant riot, etc. And we'll be doing that on this, which is our newly finished, again, constant intake facility. The idea was to have our old school constant intake every 24 hours, 24 inmates, and, well, in the last episode, we made some hopefully positive changes, things like changing up the deployment so it was actually staff only where it should be. There was a couple of areas as well that we altered. We also segregated the inmates based on their category, so supermax, max sec, medium sec, and then a custom security, which is minimum and protective. So you can see we've altered all of that, so hopefully that is now working. I'm hoping it's a positive change in the facility, but we'd have to run through several days, several sols, several cycles in order for that to become clearly apparent, but, well, we shall see. We also changed some doors and other things, but, well, what is this all about? Well, it's a bit of a fun, interesting thing. I think people seem to enjoy it, where we have, say, everybody fight, because, well, you know, we basically get to have over 400 inmates constantly right here, which is yeah, a thing. And the idea is to see what would happen. Let's say if these unnatural events would occur and we don't bring any emergency services in, we don't do any guard responses, we don't change our free fire status necessarily anywhere. This is as a rule. And we don't assign any other staff, we don't hire any other staff. The idea is just to see what the prison would do, what the inmates would do, what the staff would do, how it fares, and yeah, see what happens. It also, apart from being, let's say, just a bit of a mess on, it also does genuinely tell us something about the facility. It tells us where the weak spots are mainly. And even though this is a fight, I can see that the middle cell blocks in particular have decided that they want to escape. Even though it's a fight, you can see there's a lot of inmates who have taken the opportunity to fight, but then are now charging out through the middle. Now, we knew that the weak spots for the facility were these parole rooms here. We knew that because we've experienced it several times in the past. There you go. It is basically the quickest, most direct route out if you were running out of the facility, as in you were trying to get from your current location to the road and out. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they are going to go to the road, but they are certainly going to go to a point where they can use a rope to get over the brick wall. Have they actually done that? Well, this door is damaged in the laundry, which means someone has either smashed the door because they really hate doors, or, and this is more likely, they've smashed in the laundry to get some sort of digging equipment. What I mean by that is the rope. And, well, yeah, it appears that that has happened. Not so much in the kitchen, actually. The kitchen is... Oh, no, there is some damage to some of these doors. So, yeah, and there is some inmates in here. There might have just been taser teleported through or just been escorted through. But the point is that the inmates have probably taken some digging implements and somewhere to get out and use the rope, especially the rope, to fling over the brick wall so they can hop over it. Because if they don't do that, well, they'll have to just try and walk out the top and bottom of the road there. However, from 401, I think it said when we instantly initiated the fight, it is now finished. There are now no more riots. So when I said it's a constant riot, that's obviously not true. But the takeaway is that we've had 54 deaths, which is a failure state again. And, well, you can see, yeah, this is the main fracture point, really. All the inmates are going around here. These are the two high-risk inmates. There are some at the front here. There are a few at the back. But the main one is, well, as you might expect, where we've got the highest concentration of high-risk inmates together. So there. But none of them got out. I mean, there will be another person being brought into the facility. That's ourselves, because that is definitely a fairly state. However, that is just a bit of a test. Let's see what happens if, well, we'll actually try a riot this time, shall we? So once again, loading into the same time or roundabouts as before. And this time we're going to go with an instant riot. This one, I anticipate pretty much a similar sort of thing, similar sort of behaviours. And, well, we are seeing exactly that. So the guys are rioting. And they are trying to, yeah, they are rioting, but mainly they're going into the parole. They're obviously equipping themselves with stationery. This is basically the stationary deployment room, and they pick up pens and they try to run out. Now, a bit of a difference on this one is that we can see that the... oh, right, there you go. The low-risk inmates, low on supermax, sorry, low in protective custody, should I say, they're writing, but they're not trying to get out. They're just sort of running around here and actually taking out ex-law enforcement, apparently. But they're not trying to get out. However, the other inmates are. So, riot is still underway. Yeah, happening as expected. Coming around this corridor here. We don't have free fire on, but I'm sure we just heard a shot fired, yes. So that is what happens if the armed guard is injured to a point where they... yes, they're not on free fire. They take it upon themselves and they can use their weapon. And that's exactly what's happened. So let's just put this to max speed because I don't think there's going to be any real big surprises. It just... whether or not the death toll goes above what we had previously in the fight. We're currently up to 51, so it's not as high as before. Riot has finished. There are still some inmates that have taken control of areas. So we've got this mail room that's been taken control of. We have in this meeting room that's been taken control of, although the armed guard is dealing with that. That's Pupper. And I think the guards are... yeah, they are taking back control of that room. Okay, so for the riot... interestingly, for a riot, we've had not as many inmates try to get out. That sort of makes sense, because at the end of the day, it's rioting. They're just about, well, rioting. It's clues in the title, really, isn't it? They're rioting in here. They're smashing stuff up. I say that as well, but all the dormitory looks fairly pristine. There's basically just been a little bit of fighting. Not much actual destruction. But yeah, okay. They've just tried to get out. It's basically it's a sort of poor version of the fight. When the fight, you know, is almost certainly going to be a poor version of the jailbreak, which is going to be now. This is the one that I don't think is going to be much of a surprise. However, if we go with instant jailbreak, that means that all of the inmates are going to try and get out. Now, it does say riot, but it means let's get out. So when you induce fighting and rioting, they'll default to certain behaviours, which could be attacking people, could be attacking guards, different staff members, anyone like snitches and ex-law enforcement, anyone that's in danger. However, the jailbreak is exactly that. Their focus is solely on getting out, which means trying to run out the front door in this case, which, as we can see, is going through the parole area. They're picking up pens because this is the most direct route. They will fight, they will break things, mainly doors though, to get through them, because again, they're trying to get out. That is their sole focus. And anyone that tries to stop them, they will intervene. They will try to override the guard situation. And that means that, yeah, they're happy to attack them. And again though, I don't think there's going to be much of a surprise. We have all of this being taken over, which has been now finished by the guards. We do, however, have 3 escapes. I didn't see it, but we've had 3 escapes. So 80 deaths. So the run out, the jailbreak has, yeah, incurred almost double the amount of deaths, the double amount of fatalities as to riot, as opposed to riot and fighting. This road gate was actually broken. It might not have seen it, but it was Toby here who just repaired it. So that was broken. This one wasn't, so it must have been open at the time, and that's where we've got our 3 escapes. So yes, apparently if the inmates are told to run out of the front door, they will do just that, or at least try. And also in this particular case, they're gonna try and take control of everywhere, which is what they've done actually. So I said I wasn't going to bring in some emergency services. I will actually bring in a couple because, well, we do need to take control of this area. And we've still got riots. Gonna have to slow the game down because it becomes less responsive as lag goes on. So prisoner is out of control. Put the riot down. We now have 6 hours in order to stop the riot. If we don't do that, it is a failure state. I have a feeling that, Oh, well, there's the end of that chat. It'll be done sooner rather than later, which it now has been. Okay, let's try one final thing, and this is one of the more silly things, which is basically equip every single inmate with some sort of weapon and or tool. So yes, one could probably argue that the previous behaviours, so things like fighting, rioting, and jailbreak, those could, and indeed have happened previously, not in the quantity that we've seen, but those could happen in the facility, and if we'd just not run it very well, we could have probably had a huge amount of issues like we've seen. Again, it's unlikely, but it could possibly happen. However, what is almost impossible, and we won't say for definite, we won't say it's not a complete impossibility, but yeah, what would happen if every single inmate was armed with something? You could probably get this naturally if you just put an armory in the middle of the dormitory, but you can see that now. Inmates have been furnished with, let's have a quick look, we've got drills, we've got sniper rifles, revolvers, we've got assault rifles, we have a modified assault rifle. You can see there it's, yeah, it's very modified. It looks to be some sort of AK with a screwdriver attached to the top, a torch on the top as well, where the sights would be, and then I think it's be like a saw handle on the back. You've got in that guy is, I was gonna say, is that guy got a revolver and is also in handcuffs? I'm not sure. We've got in machine guns, we've got shotguns, we've got a modified handgun, which is looks to be just painted. And yeah, that's every single inmate. So in fact, look at that. Interesting. The inmates around here, this is the protective custody and or low risk area. Yeah, they've been finished with a lot with all of these things as well. This is the instant riot mod we went with. So still over 300 plus inmates that are yes, misbehaving here. And naturally, a lot of them are doing exactly what we've seen previously. They are trying to get out. So they are using these weapons and tools to try and escape. Now, once again, we've seen that around here and around here, near the central part of the facility, that's where the inmates are heading to, because they have to go through it. This is where the most violence has been occurred. Or is occurring, should I say. We have nearly 100 deaths. We will pass that easily. There we go. Didn't even finish the sentence. And, well, I have a feeling that we'll probably end up stopping the riots. But that is a double failure state. That is a failure state because of the deaths. So we're on to 154. And also, this riot is still underway. So now I will go to emergencies. 1, 2, 3 riot police and 2 paramedics. I can't bring in elite ops or air paramedics because you need helipads in order to do that. Elite ops being, yeah, useful for stopping this sort of thing. So I'm going to select the riot police and bring them in. I like selecting the group like this. It tends to make it a bit easier. Let's say sometimes it can be a bit unresponsive. So I've told the paramedics to go in the middle. They won't do that because this is now controlled by the inmates. You can see it's in red there. And even though we've ordered them in there, there is the circle to indicate that that's where they've been told to go. They won't do that because it's controlled by the inmates. And wow, already we've had 1 dead and 1 unconscious. You can see, yeah, riot guard. Wow. Okay. So this is going to be very much some sort of failure state, unless I can put down the riot. And I'm doing my best, but the main point of contention is actually in the middle. So I'll select those guys. Go at the middle, please. Select those guys, go at the middle. Looks like they've stopped that now. Paramedics can come in. We're on to, wow, we're on to 185 deaths, and also within the next 5 hours, We need to stop the riot. And that's all rioting in the game. I don't think this is possible. I might be able to quickly rush the the staff to these areas to try and stop it. But they are being hurt, knocked injured, unconscious, and being killed during all of this. In fact, there's only a few left. What I'm going to have to do is literally say, go away, every single one, and then call in a new set of riot police, which I can't do, because the rest need to leave in their entirety before you can do that. Well, do you know what happens when you get to this failure state? We're going to find out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. You have failed to control this riot. The government has revoked our prison contract, is now sending in the National Guard to retake the prison. Failure. So, what happens now is the National Guard come in. And to say they have free fire on is a bit of an understatement. So you can see they're coming through. They're going to try and take control of the facility, but we don't have control of any of this now. This is the game basically running itself. And it's most likely not going to be that eventful until the guys meet someone like Sean Colley here, who didn't even have a chance to surrender because the National Guard are coming through and making sure that this riot is stopped. This is a lot more eventful when you have an ongoing riot of many more inmates. So these soldiers are armed with jail keys, key cards, and assault rifles. They are armed with key cards. So even if you have these secure doors, key carded doors, they can go through it. I don't know if you saw there, this guy here, this soldier, these soldiers here, they're just opening doors and firing. There is, well, a distinct lack of subtlety on this one. And yeah, it's the National Guard in Prison Architect coming in to deal with, admittedly, our problem. Although they are getting a bit confused here. Okay. There we are. But that's a fairly uncontrolled riot. So far, 255 deaths. Yes. What would happen if there's other failure states? Well, otherwise you can be brought in your own facility. You can be incarcerated in your own facility. That's always fun. The game is still bringing in soldiers. I've never seen it where the game or the inmates win this. As in, I think the game will keep on respawning, yes, soldiers. Yes, it does. The troop trucks keep coming and coming and coming. I don't think there's a way that the inmates will win. So I don't even think I've seen them win a fight against the soldiers. Like just one group of 6 soldiers and the inmates have won. But there you are. That has been a bit of Prison Architect, the extreme testing initiative on our constant intake facility. It is, as I said, a bit of a mess around. Also does tell us something. But if nothing else, hope you have found this interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments. And as for new facilities, would like to hear your suggestions. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. Take care, and generic partings.